So if we just start the TitanMist and say, okay, just scan a file, have samples, and we can scan any of these files and say just match. It will give you the information about the file format. So it will give you the name of the file format, which is in this case exe fog. It will give you the version, so the exact version, and it will give you the author of the packer. It will also give you a link to our website which you can follow, and on which there's some additional information about this format. So you'll have the information that's available here. You also have protection options that's inside the packer as well, and you'll have some samples and additional unpackers you can use. Now, if we were to unpack the file, we would just call the same, we would just call TitanMist and say, okay, just output this to a file for me, and it will show you a log of what just happened. So since this is a dynamic unpacker, it will log all the information it collected during runtime. So for example, it will show you the dynamic link libraries which the packer is loading. It will show you the functions that are required and the addresses where they are going to be written. And at the end, it's going to tell you the entry point. So once this is done, the output file is the valid portable executable file, which you can just run because it's valid, and you can just analyze it further, and because all of the packing layers have been stripped. So if you look at this is just a simple Visual C++ application. You can analyze further if you like. So we can do the same thing for all sorts of formats. As I said, some of these unpackers which are linked with the signatures are dynamic and some are static. So we can just test one of these which works as the Titan script. So that would be ASPAC, for example. So ASPAC, we do the identification. It tells us it's ASPAC, tells us who wrote it, and we can go to the website as well. So we can just tell it to unpack itself, and it will load the Titan script. Now, the Titan script, this particular one doesn't have any logging, but you can use that as well. The unpacking succeeded, and we can just open that application as well again and analyze it further. It's the same file, so that's why the entry point looks the same. We can do that as well for the TLOC. For the TLOC, we have a native dynamic unpacker, yes. So TLOC, this is it. Wrong parameter. So identification, it gives us that it's a TLOC. You can go to our website to read more about it, or you can just unpack it normally. So out.exe. And it works. It's a different application. This is the Delphi application. Now we can do the same for dynamic link libraries as well. So all the files we have unpacked just now have been executables, and we can do the same for the dynamic link libraries. Now there's a small trick you can use. Now if you look at this, this is the UPX file. Now the default unpacker for UPX is TitanScript. Now since TitanScript doesn't support unpacking of dynamic link libraries yet, you can just say output this to output DLL, but use the Lua unpacker, which is also available. Now that will load the Lua framework, and the Lua will unpack this file entirely, because the Lua unpacker relies on the TitanEngine, and it both supports executables and dynamic link libraries. Now if we do that, we output some information, and the output file will be provided, and it's also a valid executable. You can just, it's dynamic link library written in Delphi as well, which you can analyze further. Now if you don't know that this unpacker doesn't work with the Titan script, you can just tell it to try all the unpackers which are listed for the specified format, and we do this as fswitch, which is force. So it will try the unpackers in a row until it finds one which is provided in the database which works. So it started the Titan script first, it saw it didn't work, and then it started the Lua automatically, which provides an output file. So we have, as I said, we have the update feature as well. So if we just call the TitanMist with the updates switch, it will connect to our website, download the new database, and it will download all the new unpackers as well with it. So the last thing we have to show for the TitanMist demo is the use of the an access plugin. So we have a broken file which doesn't work. If I just start it, so it is broken. So if we just start our TitanMist and say broken is the input file, and we tell it to output it to the output.exe, it will not work. It says unpacking failed because the file is broken. But if we tell it to start it and use the Nexus plugin, that's the end switch, it will automatically repair the file on the disk, and it will monitor the application for the missing dynamic link libraries as well. So if you just start it, it will tell you that the unpacking has succeeded, and the output file is, of course, yet again the valid portable executable, which you can start the debugger or normally and analyze. So you can try that. And to make sure that the reason why this is failing is because the application is broken, we've included the file, the application called PEID. And PEID will just scan the application and tell you all about it. If it's valid, it will say it's valid, and if it's not valid, it will give you a detailed report why this is broken. Okay. So demagogues that didn't listen to me, it says the file is valid as well. Okay. And that's the Nexus plugin. It will repair the damaged files. Yeah, because the file has been repaired. So if we just restore that, then it will say why it is broken. Of course. Or not. Doesn't matter. It does work. So the problem we address with this is the damaged files, and we also have files which are missing dynamic link libraries. So this particular file is missing a dynamic link library, which is realign.dll, and this is why it cannot start. So we can use Nexus again and just tell it to unpack the file, which is called xplister. Just output it to output.exe and tell it to use the Nexus plugin, and it will unpack it entirely, because you see it created additional file on the system, which just spoofs the packer into thinking it is there. So the output file as well needs that import as well. You can see that realign is in the import table as well, but the file has been unpacked. You can just load it inside the debugger or disassembler or whatever. If I move it here, then sure it should work. It won't, but you can disassemble it as well. So yes, you can do all sorts of things with the TitanMist, and I believe we showed you everything that the TitanMist can do. For now, that's the demo. For every entry in the database, and you can look at the database once you download the tool, you have a link to our website which gives you an information about the file formats. You have basic information, you have extensive format analysis, which tells you how the format really works, gives you the protection options, gives you a TitanMist unpacker for that, and it gives you some sample files as well. Now we're going to release this tool, and we're going to release it with the support for these 20 formats. So we have some native unpackers. Most of them work statically. Some of them work dynamically, such as TE-lock. And we have some script unpackers, and that script unpackers, which are listed, only refer to the Titan script unpackers. We included 10 of them, so you can just look at them and see how the Titan script really works, because we want Titan script to be one of the key features of this product, and you can heavily rely on it because those unpackers are really easy to write, and we can show you one right now. So unpackers, as I said, you can have Lua, native, or Python, or Titan script. They are all linked to our database, which looks like this. So here's the database, and as I said, it's an XML file. And for the UPX, as you can see, you have 3 unpackers. One is the Titan script, one is Python, and one is Lua. You can use either of those, and as you see, the default one is set to the Titan script. And these are the signatures we created for these formats. 20 different packer families are supported for both identification and unpacking. And you can also have signatures inside this database that only refer to identification. So you don't have to have an unpacker. You can only use this. You can use this for both unpacking and identification, but you can also use it just for identifying purposes. So as you can see, these are the complex signatures we talked about. And for the unpackers, you can have Lua native Python or Titan script, and for the Titan script we're just going to load one of those and show how it works. So it does look like TitanEngine because, as I said, we recoded this to fit the TitanEngine profile and use some TitanEngine features such as reading the data from the file, then use the all the script functions to find the patterns inside a file and place some breakpoints there. So once you place a breakpoint, for example, at the load library, you would read the string which is held at EAX there, and that's the name of the library, and you just pass that to the TitanEngine. Same goes for the getProc address. Just read the string or the ordinal number and pass that to the engine. And at the end you have a static part of the script which will probably never change. All this does is dumps the file to disk, exports the import table to it, and makes it a valid file. So this is the part of the script which will probably never change for any of the scripts. And of course, if there's an error, you just return error. So that's how one of the unpackers for the Titan scripts looks like. As I said, we shipped 20 of those today. There are no version numbers. We support almost every version of every packer, but for the easy ones such as FSG and I believe ASPAC, we've intentionally left some older versions unsupported because we want the community to start with something easy, so they can just extend the existing framework from that starting point. And that's it for the TitanMist project. Some questions? Yeah, well, as you heard just now, the TitanMist project is a database, and you can extend that. So if you come across something that we don't support yet, you can easily add a signature for that and create an unpacker. We can just mail us a sample, and we'll happily take a look at it. If it's something of interest, we can add that ourselves.
So if there's no signature, then it won't be able to...
Of course, this isn't a generic unpacker. So this isn't a one-click solution. We wanted to contribute. We wanted to have community contributing to this because we know that there are talented reverse engineers all over the world which are happy to work at this. We know of the existence of 800 scripts, and these guys have been working over the past few years on this. So this is a community project which has targeted unpacking. This isn't a generic solution because we can't really rely on generic solutions to handle each and every one of those cases. That's why the targeted one is the way to go. Anybody else? Yes?
Have you done much performance testing? For instance, have you looked at the differences in different types of unpacking scripts that you've written and compared it with commercially available things or with your own number?
Yeah, well, we did some performance testing for our last presentation. That was Caro Workshop in Helsinki, and the numbers we came up with, and these are pretty accurate, is for dynamic unpacking it takes about 250 milliseconds. That's a round number about for the files for under 1 megabyte to be unpacked, and that's as fast as they are executing. So there's little to none performance penalty for dynamic unpackers. For the static ones, they can go even faster because the only penalty they have is the speed of the algorithm for the decompression, but that's also for the packer. So static ones can go faster than the actual execution. It depends on the file format, of course. Yes?
Will you handle, like the structured exception handling for a packer fence to change the exception handling?
Okay, yeah, well, the TitanEngine can handle all of that. It just depends on how you create your unpacker. So all of the exceptions that are thrown at you are handled by the TitanEngine. That doesn't matter. But if there are some protection options, and you're referring to that as well, you can handle that yourself. It depends on the file format. So because you are writing the unpacker for the format, you have to reverse engineer it and counter everything it throws at you. But it has built-in functions to hide the debugger and do the standard stuff we do today. So back to you.
Do you have coverage on PEID and Protect and other virtualized packers?
Well, if you write an unpacker for that, we'll be happy to include it.
I mean, are they currently in your database?
No, as I said, we have 20 formats, and those are it. And Temida is a pretty complex unpacker. If we just gave that free, people would use this tool to break intellectual property, which is protected by Temida, and we really don't want to do that.